Hi guys, welcome to my movie fan channel. My name's Tyler. Today's review is going to be for The Mandalorian Chapter 8, Redemption. But if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit the thumbs up down below, hit subscribe, and the little notification bell. That way you get alerts to when I post a new video. And also share this video around to all your friends and family on Facebook, Twitter, all different social medias. That always helps out the channel a lot. But yeah, this episode, the last episode of Season 1 is great. Redemption, it's called, which has multiple meanings in this. It starts off, and you can tell it's a Taika Waititi directed episode. Jason Sudeikis is one of the stormtroopers, and his just voice, I knew right away. I was like, wait a minute. He punches Baby Yoda, and I wanted to knock the dude out. I was like, this is it. He was hitting him a lot. He hit him multiple times. I like seeing stormtroopers sit there and talk. They were just kind of like shooting the shit, like waiting around, like, hey, when are we going to go do, whatever we got to do? When are we going to bring this baby in to Moff Gideon? He's like, they were just awaiting orders. But it was super Taika Waititi-esque dialogue, and it was just kind of great. You don't think that would fit with Star Wars, but he did so well with Marvel that we really shouldn't be surprised. It was a little bit, I could see how people would be on the fence about that kind of humor creeping into Star Wars, but it's a lot better than some of the tried and failed methods of Star Wars humor that we've seen in little things down the road, like Poodoo and Jar Jar and whatever. At least this was pretty funny. Thankfully, IG-11 comes in, bam, bam, takes those dudes out, kills Jason Sudeikis. His clone trooper at least. And then in this episode we find out that Moff Gideon knows a lot about the main characters, Baby Yoda, and their backstories, which is interesting that he has that much intel on them. He hears Moff Gideon's name and he's like, oh my god, that's a guy from back in the Clone Wars on Mandalore. He was running things sort of like military-wise. And he has a flashback to that time period again where we see him as a child, and now we get the full flashback. Super battle droids are just mowing people down in this town when he was a little kid. His parents hid him away, and he's rescued by a Mandalorian, which was really cool, and the music was cool. It was like a guitar. Cut back to modern day, and IG-11 storming into town. This dude's taking out stormtroopers on his speeder bike, which was awesome, and then they would shoot at him and he'd spin around and he'd hide Baby Yoda behind him so he wasn't getting shot. He kind of leads the charge with Baby Yoda strapped to his chest like the Hangover, and with that distraction, Grief Karga and Cara Dune join the fray. Mando comes out blasting. Mando gets hurt in a blast from Moff Gideon, and Cara Dune picks him up like a beast and drags him back in to that little bunker building that they were in. Mando finally takes off his helmet. No living person sees him do it. It's IG-11. But we see Pedro Pascal's face, and I guess he was all beat up. Some behind-the-scenes facts is that he, hurt himself. Supposedly, he went to the hospital, so he had some real, stitches or injuries or whatever that were legit and not just, from the set. That he was walking in the hospital all, beat up and, dirty looking, and they're like, oh my god, and it's just he was on the set of Mandalorian. In one of the previous episodes, when all the Mandalorians helped Mando in his fight against Grief Karga and the other bounty hunters, they exposed their position on that planet in hiding. So the Empire came and wiped a lot of them out. And the armor is the only one who hung back and was collecting some of the stuff and the artifacts and stuff from their people and didn't want to let it get lost to the Empire. The armor drops a Jedi reference and explains a little bit to Mando about who they are and who they were to the Mandalorians in the past. They were a former enemy, but that Mando should deliver the child to the Jedi. Super tease for Season 2, which is awesome. They even have that in the trailers for Season 2, so I can't wait to see what's going to come of this. We know Ahsoka's rumored for Season 2. Who knows? Maybe Luke Skywalker's in it. That would be awesome, too. This episode then finally gets a jetpack from the armorer in this scene, which is awesome. The armorer gets a fight scene. She takes out 5 guys by herself with a hammer. I'm like, this is so cool. She's a cool character. Like I said, when she was first introduced in that episode review, I was like, I like this armor that she has, the helmet, everything, the whole outfit, the getup, the character design is awesome. At the end of the episode, IG-11 sacrifices himself. Mando's kind of moved by this selfless act, and that softens his stance on droids a little bit. We're seeing that progress more and more throughout this first season, and probably going forward. I hope they throw a couple more things in there, but I think that was could be the culmination of that little arc that he had in his character, where he had a bias to droids because of his fear of the past. But I feel like it's not the last time that's going to come back into play in this series. Another thing that was super Taika Waititi was when they're sitting in that boat, that lava boat on the river, and Grief Karga looks at Baby Yoda and he's like, come on, baby, do the magic hand thing. I'm like, that was a Taika Waititi joke if I've ever seen one. Moff Gideon comes wheeling in with the TIE fighter. You hear the noise, TIE fighter noise. And you're like, oh man, Mando jetpacks it up in there, and he's fighting the TIE fighter with the jetpack. I'm like, oh my god. He plants a detonator on there, which is crazy. It blows up, and when Moff Gideon crashes, he cuts his way out of the TIE fighter with the Darksaber from Star Wars Clone Wars, Star Wars Rebels. It's got a huge backstory that you guys should definitely look into, definitely watch at least those arcs of the Clone Wars and Rebels with the Darksaber. It's totally going to come back into play in this next season. Who knows if they're going to have Bo-Katan, all these other characters that were crucial, Sabine, to the story of where we've seen the Darksaber so far and how Moff Gideon could have gotten it because they were the last people to wield it, we know, from Star Wars canon. So it's interesting to see what's going to come back into play, how much other material is going to tie back into Mandalorian Season 2 with the Darksaber, and who's going to oppose Moff Gideon with that. It's got to be somebody with a lightsaber, right? You would think. So that's interesting, and we know Mando's looking for Jedi to deliver Baby Yoda to. So it would be awesome for somebody to fight Moff Gideon with the Darksaber, and we know it's probably going to happen because he said that he broke a ton of like the prop Darksabers, and he has some fight scenes with that. So it would be cooler to see him have somebody that could actually fight back and put up a fight, and not just him like mowing people down with the Darksaber, even though I want to see that too. Give me like a hallway Rogue One situation. Yeah, this was a great last episode for Season 1 of The Mandalorian. I feel like it really brought a lot of the characters back together. A lot of these stories that seem like single standalone episodes were part of the larger story, and we see how they contributed, at least even to the character of the Mandalorian, and that all comes back into play, and I love that. I love the overall direction. It feels like they have a direction, because I didn't think that the new trilogy of movies really had a clear-cut direction on what they wanted to do. I believe that's pretty evident with what happened. So I like that they had a follow-through, they had oversight, and they also gave other people input. So they let the directors have some roles. They also had Dave Filoni, who's super knowledgeable about the overall Star Wars canon, which I feel was kind of lacking in the new trilogy. They kind of did things that flew in the face of everything that we've seen before. By that, I mean contradicting canon things that we've seen in books and shows and whatever, and Dave Filoni doesn't really let that happen. So it's awesome that he's on board. Jon Favreau is incredible with the projects that he works on and the writing in this, and he really let the directors shine with their unique episodes that they directed and how they added their spin to it. You could definitely see their influences on each of these episodes, but it felt like a fluid transition episode to episode. It felt like one series. That's my review, guys. If you guys liked it, make sure you give me a thumbs up down below and hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell, like I said in the beginning. And I will see you guys in the next review.